Hey everybody, today I wanted to tell you guys about some lost and obscure media from the Beatles. They may be one of the most popular bands of all time, but I know they're hiding things from us, and I intend to pry that knowledge out of each and every one of their cold, dead hands. Oh yeah, and obviously not all of this is going to be obscure to every Beatles fan. Just because you know that the Beatles all witnessed George Harrison lose his virginity doesn't mean Susan from work knows. So I found this first one while watching the music video for Mind Games, where you can see the poster for something called Sergeant Pepper on the Road, an off-Broadway musical production based on the album of the same name. I couldn't find much information on it, and trust me, I looked, but apparently John Lennon was there for a few rehearsals and was even there on opening night. I guess the Sergeant Pepper movie was loosely based off this thing, so if that's anything to go by, it's probably a work on par with Citizen Kane.
Because the world is round.
The next one on here is definitely less obscure, but no less interesting. Carnival of Light is a song primarily credited as being written by Paul McCartney, and was recorded after a dubbing session for Penny Lane. He apparently wrote it for an event called the Million Volt Sound Rave, which is the only place it was ever publicly played. It was described by McCartney as an avant-garde piece that involved them screaming and smashing instruments for 14 minutes, and actually predates John Lennon's avant-garde Revolution 9 by over a year. Now you might be disappointed to learn that this hasn't made the rounds on bootlegs as far as I was able to find, but I wouldn't be too disappointed since people who've heard have generally given it negative reviews, with Brian Hodgson saying, "There seemed to be no coherence to what was on the tape." Fortunately, for those of you who still want to hear it, I myself talked to some anonymous resources, and I believe I have a snippet of it right here. One other interesting thing to note is that they accidentally played the tape too long at the event, and so part of the song Fixing a Hole got leaked 5.5 months before it would come out on the album. Imagine going to a rave in the 60s, but instead of hearing innovative electronic music, you just hear the Beatles smashing piano keys and screeching for 4 minutes, to then be followed by the first minute or so of the second worst song on the Sgt. Pepper album. Alright, this video has been too focused on Sgt. Pepper, and it's not even in their top 3 albums. Wow, what a cool and original take. He's so edgy and cool. Thanks, 1978 John Lennon. Anyways, this last one's gonna be about the online flash game called Ticket to Ride, which was actually lost until earlier this year. I couldn't get it to work for whatever reason, so credit to Snorska for this footage. You use the arrow keys to drive around in a Yellow Submarine to pick up the JPEGs of Beatles members so you can get them to the airport. And after beating it, you get to choose from 3 rare pieces of concert footage. As far as I can tell, these links don't work anymore, so hopefully they didn't have anything important. I gotta say though, the narrator sounds super enthusiastic throughout the game.
They don't make these things like they used to. Try again.
Also, I don't know why, but the crashing is really goofy. That's not what would happen if a flying submarine crashed into a car. Therefore, this game is a 0 out of 10 for realism. Alright, well that's all I have for today. I hope you learned something. So, go and do whatever your heart desires, as long as it doesn't interfere with my plans for world domination.